Okay, my outstanding friends, this is going to be a hoot, a treat, the shocker du jour of at least a millennia. I claim everything is biological, 100%. There's nothing that isn't biological. So, Roger, how would you explain Yellowstone? Well, I know exactly what it is, and you will in about 5 minutes. They did a complete survey, ground penetrating this and that, rhyolithic melt, basaltic melt, all this kind of stuff they discovered in it. What is that? It's chemistry, it's cavities, and it's extreme heat, and basically volcanism. It's a volcano, but it has a release valve. That's those hot springs, so it doesn't explode. Is that going to always be the case? I'm not sure. That's why they're looking at it, because I think something's going on there. Whether they're talking about it or not, I don't know. But I think everywhere in the world something is going on, because, as I say, 100% of this Earth is biological. And there was gigantic creatures, as you are going to see in a second, because this is one gigantic creature. And when they died, they were covered with sediment, basically, and encapsulated under the earth. There were giants in the earth in those days. They are rotting now. Let me show you as these things. Well, first of all, let's talk about what happens to a body that is encapsulated and just covered and it can't get any oxygen. What? Listen. All right, most people know about spontaneous combustion. You take a bunch of oily rags, which is nothing more than biology, and you cover them up so that there's virtually no oxygen getting to them. They will start to heat and heat and heat, and if it's close enough to a source of oxygen, they pop into combustion, and you got spontaneous combustion. Well, what if there's no actual oxygen available? What happens? Decaying organic material can self-heat to the point of spontaneous combustion, but oxygen must still be present to allow actual combustion, burning. Without oxygen, you might get heat buildup, gas production, pressure, but not open fire. Well, exactly. A stratovolcano gets open fire because it's up into the oxygen. This, as I will show you, is below the earth, encapsulated with a vent. My friends, things just are incredibly intertwined. I started out this morning looking into the construction of the ancient cement and why it was so sturdy, and I do understand why. And this led me to the volcanism, and then I just decided, well, I'll go back and look at Yellowstone, just so I could fit it in with my other studies. Now, here's how they're saying they could map this stuff underneath, and they're using telluric currents, magnetotelluric currents, which is just the Earth absorbing electricity coming down from the solar. There's nothing but dipoles. Dipole electron flood. We are being flooded with dipole electrons from the sun. That's what is telluric currents. There's nothing more than lightning, electricity, static. It's the white part. And they can somehow use it. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me, because this is what I'm interested in right here. This is what they found. You say, well, so what? Well, let's look into the details. That's so what. Okay, my friends, I thought I had seen it all, and I think I have. But what are we looking at here? Well, guess what we're looking at? This is a survey they did at Yellowstone. And what is this? These two things here, they're basaltic melt, two individual lobes. And what are these two things? Those are rhyolithic melt, a little bit of a different transition. And this is the transition, basaltic to rhyolithic melt. Okay, so this is rhyolithic, which I'm going to tell you right now is blood. This is from the heart. That's the two separation of the heart. It's rhyolithic, which is blood. Basaltic melt, which is the lung, a primarily rubbery tissue that pumps blood. So there's some of basaltic melt is from lung tissue. This is from blood, from the heart, which is the rhyolithic melt. The transition is between, and that's up right through here, is between the basaltic to the rhyolithic melt. And then right there, that blue spot, is the hydrothermal system. So that is the release valve. If that wasn't there, I don't know what you'd get out of Yellowstone. But I'm going to show you the human body. That is identical. It's just so identical. It's unbelievable. And this proves everything I've been saying. There is nothing but biology, and the creatures were absolutely stunningly large. Okay, if you have a 10-year-old, ask them what they think, or her. That's a heart. You see that? That's the ventricle wall right there. Really heavy duty. You got your dark blood and your fresh blood. And it splits right on that vein, that line. And what do you have here? Two lungs. Those are the basaltic melt, and that's the rhyolithic melt. This has virtually mostly blood. And this has mostly collagen, kerogens, and all of the rubbery stuff that does this in your lung, a lot of tubes, it's all that stuff is pretty strong stuff in here. The heart is much more flexible and 100% saturated with blood. The outside of the heart is just as saturated as the inside because it's making that muscle work every day, 24 hours a day, hopefully. All right, so let's just look again. This is so unbelievable. It's amazing they could get this kind of accuracy. This, I say, is the heart. It's just separated apart on that ventricle wall. This is a lung. That's the other lung. They come together up through the trachea, out normally through the mouth. And that could be the mouth right up here. I don't know. This is the hot springs up in here. You see that? That's the thyroid. There's just no way to deny this. It's just absolutely undeniable. That is the organ system, actually the respiratory system primarily. Now, if you were to look at the thyroid, there it is. That's the thyroid. Wrapping right up around the neck. There's the lungs. Of course, the heart is behind the left lung. It's right up in this area here. In us. So I think that's a pretty good case that I just made, that this is the same as that attached to the thyroid. And the different, the chemistry's here too. I look at all of this stuff. The chemistry is very clear as well. This is basalt, rhyolite, and the mix. And I mean, I have, well, as I showed you, well, maybe I didn't. This is a heart. A friend of mine, Phil Harris, unfortunately passed away. Nice guy, excited beyond belief when he found this. Because I said, to go out 15 minutes. I said, in 15 minutes, you should be able to find something. He goes out in less than 15 minutes. He sees this red spot. So he goes, snap, and it pops right open, and there's blood. And there's, I mean, look, this is fresh red blood. I have a lot of them with fresh red blood too. Not like this. This was a very, very extreme exception. And this was the top. The bottom was a bucket of red blood. The dark blood had risen. They separate. And these are the heart valves. And that's how they come apart. Because he said he just tapped it and it just split wide open. So that's a heart. So we can get even deeper into the biology of the heart, which is right here. And it splits on that ventricle wall line. It's a very thick ventricle wall. As a matter of fact, I have a glass heart here. That's the aorta. Right there, that's that ventricle wall. Very thick and dense. They snap right open. There's the red blood side, the black blood side, Of course, this one here turned into crystal, primarily. There's a little bit of blood here, but that's the tubing. Anyway, everything is biology. Everything is biology. And it's biology on such enormous sizes that people just, even the people that claim to be the smartest people, they just won't even look. I don't want to see it. That's a lung. This is a stone. Gary Evans over there in England, he's found this. Now, here's the key. If it's in freshwater conditions, they turn into stone. They turn into stone. This is a lung. Didn't do that. And I'll show you how this ended up. This is a lung. I have lungs all over the place. I got one over here that was DNA tested and CAT scan, and was also in the flood. Now, there's going to be freshwater areas, which is where I am. Everything I have is from fresh water. So it didn't turn into dust, which I will show you exactly how that happened. Anyway, this was DNA tested, CAT scan. It's got all the pleura, flat as a pancake from the flood. Now, let's just go into what else Gary found in here. All right, so he sees, I forget how he decided to pop it open, but he sees this, and then he puts a little water on it and this and that. Splits it open a little further. There it is. That's all the deep plumbing coming in through the side to these big cavities in the center, and then they feed off these are all little tubes, all just like those tubes. Different process, fresh water. His came out of a saltwater flat, and it was preserved. I mean, you got blood. That's this expended blood. This is fresh blood. And you can see they're pushing themselves apart. They don't like to be near each other. Originally, when you're moving this blood, it's all moving together. It's going in and out. Everything's fine. But once you die, it's called iron banding. The black and the red push each other apart. So, what does he do with it? He just lets it dry out. Okay, this is the one he found. He saw this. He decided to crack it open, and sure enough. Now, he let it dry out, and look at this. This was, I think, only 2 weeks later. It's only 2 weeks later. You see it? It's just turned into dust. That's because of the salt water. If that was in fresh water, it would have preserved and turned into stone. It's a totally different process when you're in a salty environment. All right, like I said, I got blood coming out of a lot of different rocks. That's the one I just showed you, which is the one I had CAT scan, DNA tested. And it's literally, you put water on there and just scrape it a little bit, it turns into actual blood. It rehydrates almost instantly. You see this stuff here? These blobs of blood? This is from this other lung. Right here, this lung. And again, they separate. The black separates from the red. Primarily, almost all the blood was pushed out of this. But you got a black layer, and then you got your red layer, and the red is being pushed out, and eventually it would push all of itself out. Now, I don't know, there's a lot to think about here, but that blood worked its way down and pushed all the red blood out until there was only a few little spots left of red blood. But originally, this whole bag was filled with blood, and these little round spots here, I think you can see those. Those are the alveoli, which are these. You see the black pushing the red away? They hate each other. They have a different polarity. Iron banding. Okay, so if you're going to have a heart and lungs and a thyroid and all that stuff, you're going to have a stomach. Well, where would the stomach be? Well, guess what? They know where it is. There's a deeper magma storage region, extends 20 to 50 kilometers deep, contains about 2% melt, and is about 4.5 times larger than the shallow magma body. Yikes. When you read the sizes of these things, it's just stunning. and they are growing. They're festering in there. As the Earth warms up, it's not just the global warming on the outside, the heat and hurricanes and storms and all that stuff. It's inside. The Earth is exploding. The Earth is literally exploding right now. That's why there's so much volcanism, earthquakes, all that stuff. It is pressure, just like I read to you. Just ask AI what happens when things decompose, because they are now rotting, because they are now no longer completely frozen. The same thing's happening in the Arctic regions very, very quickly. And it's because of the heating of decomposition. This is what they have to start looking at. If they want truth, they have to look at the truth and accept the truth, and at least think about the truth and not reject it and say, oh, that's not peer-reviewed. We refuse to look at it. That's all I've gotten. Now here it is right here. This is from Bennington et al., that means and associates. In quotations, the progression of basaltic rhyolithic melts, which is bodily fluids, at Yellowstone caldera. It's progressing because it's under pressure, and sooner or later, these bubbling vents will get more and more bubbling. I don't know if that's happening right now or not, but it absolutely will, or there'll be an explosion. There's only one or the other. That's it. Okay, my friends, a supervolcano is waking up. Magma in Yellowstone's heating up. Lurking threat. Look at that. That is biology. See, this hidden chambers. They've been looking deep into the earth and they found them. You see that? That's not just a hole in the ground. That's plumbing. That's plumbing from some kind of biology. Northeast danger, meet Sour Creek Dome. All right, scientists are unsure. They have no idea what's going to happen there. They're just making guesses at this point, and the guesses, I think, are wrong. All right, they say we're at a critical threshold. Yes. They say it's been slow heating. Oh, it'll take hundreds of thousands of years because it's very slowly heating up, maybe in the past. But right now, it's not slow, it's rotting. Okay, my friends, I have proven my point well and beyond. This is a hair follicle that I have here shown bazillion times, and it is exactly what it is. There's a sebaceous gland right there. There's where the erector pili muscle attaches right there. That is the hair shaft coming up right there. This is the root to the bottom, and those two little dots are the vein and artery. Completely transitioned. It's a mud fossil. Now, at this exact moment in time, I am literally the only one on planet Earth that understands planet Earth. It's just a fact. Anybody wants to confront me on that? That's what I've been asking for. Total refusal from academia, because it shows everything they're telling you is wrong. I understand the origins of all of this stuff primarily was the Great Flood. It's all my stuff. And all of these giant body parts and all of these gigantic creatures. I don't know how they got here. All I know is they're here. Let's take it from there. I understand those origins. I understand the chemistry very, very well. I understand the anatomy. I understand the physiology, the biology, the physics, which is the dipole electron flood theory, because everything transitions using enzymes. They don't understand this. There's so much that's not understood. All of these degradations happen instantaneously with enzymes, which is biology. There is nothing but biology. And in biology, there is nothing but bacteria creating enzymes that do the instantaneous requirements that we required for life. I am the only one on planet Earth right now that understands this. And I also understand the consequences. And if there's anything that can be done, that's something we have to talk about. But to deny this and absolutely, go against truth for so long by these academics it's a disgrace. Now, I understand this chemistry. This is all biology right there. That's 100% biology. And the silicon dioxide primarily was from the salacious ooze from the bottom of the ocean. But anyway, and then every one of these attaches to oxygen. There's a lot they don't understand about chemistry because they don't understand dipole electron flood theory. I showed you all these other stuff. I don't know what else I can show you. But and here's another thing. I think this was could have been Desert Drifter or POV. They both do pretty good work on this stuff. And this is a guy's shoes here. There's a cavity down. These are blocks. Those are so thin you can't even see them in us. There's just barely a skim. And you see all those little layers? Those layers didn't form there from some kind of sedimentation and then just split on these little blocks. And I mean they are exact blocks here, there, no. This is, it's fully understood now, and it's very upsetting to go 15 years and have all this denied, and now we're starting from zero. History, everything, right across the board has to start completely over. All right, I love you all. I think you got to talk up about this. It's crazy to allow this to continue when it's right in front of our faces. Totally undeniable. Lungs, the heart split open. And the deeper magma is the stomach. And that's the trachea. That right there is the thyroid. And this, I think, is probably the mouth. That's all I can say. All right, I love you all. Thank you.